So you were just doing $500 for everything?
Yeah, I just thought $500 a day was great. And then I started to sort of realise like what, I started to ask like our other subbies and everything like, oh, what do you normally charge? And they're just laughing at what I'm doing. I'm like, oh no.
Hey guys, David here. We did this real cool sit down with Stacey, the landscaping chick. She's big on Instagram, loves her IG. Pretty interesting talking to her. She, you know, for her first year, she was undercharging and doing $500 day rates, including labor and materials. Absolutely insane. We believe she's making good money now, thank God. I'll help her if she needs any help with that, but take a listen to this podcast. It was super cool. Comment down below if you know Stacey. Awesome chick. Listen to how she's growing her business now. So why did you do your podcast? What was your like inspiration behind it?
My main thing was that like I was driving home from work every day. I had a foreman that was just a bit of he's kind of losing his mind a little bit. So he's pretty difficult to work with. And I was driving home and just wanting to rant or like have someone listen. And I'd like call my boyfriend. I was like, he's got to be getting sick of this. Like he's got to be there every day. I'm like, wah! Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I just need to, there's probably other people that are in the same situation. But it's like, I thought there's no podcast or anything that I'm listening to. Like I listen to Joe Rogan, but he's not talking about the shit day on site. Yeah. So I was like, I'll just start my own podcast where it's like stuff that when I was driving home, I was like, other people must have gone through issues and how have they gotten over this problem.
Absolutely.
So I interviewed a few girls, and the first one was like pretty cruisy. She'd had not too many problems at all. And then the next girl I interviewed she actually contacted me after the first one and said, I'd like to come on. I haven't spoken about anything that happened to me, but I'd like to do it with you if it's okay. I was like, yeah, if you're comfortable with it.
Sweet.
She'd been like, she was a plumber and she started her apprenticeship when she was 17, so really young, straight out of school. She'd had plumbing glue put in her hair. She'd been locked in skip bins, like the most horrific things had happened to her. And I was like, and you're still working.
Still like, doing it.
Jesus Christ. Like, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so my shitty day wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah. I had to do an extra run to the material shop. Oh, shit.
I was working with someone that was really grumpy all the time. They just, I think because I was mature age as well, they weren't really going to mess around with me too much. Yeah, exactly. Whereas she copped everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Some people,
God.
Yeah, it's real, it's something that I see popping up a lot, especially in NZ, which is like the mental health side of things. And I think it needs to be looked at more because like, when I was an apprentice, it was, well, I didn't have it too bad, but there's always shit that you're like, man, you shouldn't have to deal with this. Like, we're not in high school anymore. Like, the high school bully thing is gone. Like,
well, you're not in high school, so you need to be treated like an adult. But you also, like, adults don't treat adults like that. So why are you treating your apprentice like that? It's bizarre that when you see it, you're like, I just don't know why you're still doing that. Like, it's such an old... When people say, oh, it's all, like... Even comedians and stuff always have funny skits about things that happen to apprentices. And you're like, it's not funny, though. Yeah. Like, that's a kid and like they are probably going home and really struggling.
Yeah, it's trauma, man. Yeah, it's horrible.
And it's so bad because like the mental health is just, there's so much talk about it, but I just don't feel like a lot of people action a lot around it. Like you go into Bunnings and they're like, oh, look, we're selling this hoodie and because we care about mental health. But
is that
like,
what you're doing?
Like, is it? Or it's another thing that it's like...
To make money.
It's especially big companies as well.
Yeah.
I think they're the worst for it because they talk about it. Like, don't give me Are You Okay Day and say, oh, look, everyone's having a cupcake together, so we care about that. Because it's like... Everyone can ask each other if they're okay and everyone's going to give a generic answer. But, like, watch what those people do... like 5 minutes later after you've asked them that and see like what their body language is, because that's when you should then re-ask the question, because they might just say something like, even most people if they're having a shit day will say, I'm okay. Yeah. But then like
you might need it, but you need to dig into it and be like, are you sure? Like, tell us about your day. Did something? And then if they say, oh, something bad happened, dig into it again. You know, does that happen regularly? How did that make you feel? Like try and get an answer.
There's so much with like surface stuff. I think that the worst people, the people that are struggling the most tend to be the ones that are the larrikins and everything. Like my brother he committed suicide like 2 years ago. It's okay. And he was like the larrikin, always funny. Everyone's like, oh, I had no idea. I was like, of course she had no idea, because like, why was he always joking and laughing all the time? No one laughs. No one's at that like 90 to 100% of funny, happy all the time. Yeah. Like if they're that, they don't have a middle. They're like at there or like way down.
Way down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, eh?
Yeah.
That's interesting, and we've got good stuff on that. How did you first get into construction? Where did you start? What did you do when you left high school?
High school's a while ago for me.
Not that long ago, come on. Did you finish all the way up to...
Yeah, so I did finish year 12.
Year
so
12.
I did HSC and everything.
Cool.
I was enrolled in university, so I did I was enrolled in the first year of engineering, civil and environmental.
Sweet. Was that your decision, or were your parents like...
No, they didn't even really care about university too much. I just wanted to go because I thought it was the thing to do. But I was also working as a show jumping rider at the time, so I was trying to like juggle being like a professional show jumping rider and being at uni at the same time. So it was a bit hard doing both, I just didn't really gel with any engineers, the lecturers, the other students, and I just thought it's more like the people you're working with. If you're not enjoying the people, they're such a big component of the work. It's not for me. So I deferred, but then never went back. And I was competing with the horses for about 7 years, and then had a really, really bad accident with them. Broke a few bones, had like so many injuries where it was a bit hard for me to ride for about 3 months. And just seeing how I got treated in those 3 months that I couldn't ride, I was like, why am I even here? Like, this is, no one's happy around me. I'm not happy. So I thought, I've just got to try and do something different. And our horse vet at the time did the artificial breeding for Don Burke. And so I picked up work with him and just started doing kind of like gardening work, and then started working for a funeral company called Invocare. So they own the cemeteries and crematoriums in Sydney. So this would have all been while you were like on light duty somewhat? Oh no, this was like I'd just come out of light duties, so my bones and everything. Yeah, everything was working. So I did work with them for about 5 years. So there's a lot of landscaping in that, but we did our Cert 3 in Parks and Gardens just because it's a big company, they want you to have some sort of education and training. But it was a lot of just on the job, figure it out as you go. Like, you're doing stonemasonry, you're using backhoes, and there's a lot of stuff that you're just figuring out as you're going. So I did that, and then moved, because that was in Western Sydney. I moved to the east and then started my own maintenance business over here. Sweet. And I was doing that for a couple of years, and I just got so sick of the same 12 plants. Yeah. You know, like hedging. So you're just doing garden and... Just doing maintenance. Like I wasn't doing any construction stuff anymore because it was sort of, I just thought, because I didn't have a qualification for it, so I just thought I can't do it. And I was like seeing all the construction companies and seeing what they were doing, and I was going and just maintaining what they'd done afterwards, and I was like, it's just not for me doing this. So my brother was like, you just go and get your apprenticeship. Like, I was like, yeah, but you know, like it's a huge pay cut because I'm a mature age now, and I was like, it was like cutting my pay in half. Were you put on a training wage for like how many years? 4 years? So I fast tracked mine, so it was like 2. Sweet. But it was, I had to work so many extra jobs. I couldn't run my business anymore because I didn't have the hours in the day. And I was like, so that's gone, that income. And then the mature age apprenticeship wage, I was like, when they first told it to me, I was like, what was it? Oh my God. I think it was around 700 and something a week. Like it was, I was like, I've got rent, car finance, like, oh my God. So I was working like weekends. Yeah, it's like 16 bucks an hour. Sorry, I just did the math. And it's tiny. I was like, ugh. So it's rough. I just had heaps of other jobs. I was working in restaurants and no way. Everything that I could just to have enough money to get by. It was mainly the first year because second year it goes up. For sure. And then after that I was fine because then you start to pick up work from the work you're doing. So even though I wasn't qualified, I could still do, I'd learn one thing one week, and the next week I would be literally going to all the neighbours on the street and saying, "So you see what I've done here? Do you want that? I can do it. I'm really good at it now. I've done it once, just once. So let me just have a go now."
I'm advanced.
Yeah. And then like costings with that, I learned the hard way as well, because I didn't even know about like the margins or anything that landscapers were putting on things. So I just cruised along thinking like, oh, you can make a lot of money because like once you get the materials and then you just charge, like I thought $500 a day was amazing.
Oh wow.
And so I was charging that, and I thought I was cruising along thinking, wow, I've made it, like I've done it. And then the material costs like blow over.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
so you were just doing $500 for everything?
Yeah, I just thought $500 a day was great. And then I started to sort of realise like what I started to ask like our other subbies and everything, like, oh, what do you normally charge? And they're just laughing at what I'm doing. I'm like, oh no.
Shit. And how long had you been undercharging for?
Like it was about 4 or 5 months, because I was like, oh, look at me go. And oh.
Man, that's probably 20 grand you probably could have.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and I thought,
but you had no one teach you or tell you?
No, and I didn't ask, because I was always a bit like, I felt a little bit awkward to ask people like, what do you charge? Because I thought it was, you know, like one of those things that people don't talk about their income. So I thought it was the same with business.
Like a real taboo topic, eh?
Yeah, don't talk about what you make. But once I started asking people, everyone in business, especially tradies, they're so upfront with what they charge, what their costings are, what their reasons are that they charge an hourly rate. Like landscapers, for example, the ones that have a lot of machinery or office spaces, anything like that.
You've got to factor
all of that in. So that comes into their hourly rate. And I was like, oh, I just never thought about any of those things. I was just running along, just me. It was a bit of a rude shock.
Yeah. Man, you must have seen like some clients surely be like, we're getting too much of a bargain here.
No, so the first 3 jobs I did, you're going to laugh at this, the end of the job, the clients were usually giving me like $500 to $1,000 more, because they kept saying, you're undercharging. And like they were just paying me extra, because they're just like, oh, you should charge more. And everyone kept saying to me, you should charge more. And I was like, oh, but I want to get the work though. Like I thought I wasn't going to get any work.
Scarcity mindset, eh?
I just thought I've just got to get all these jobs. I'd come from like doing mature age apprenticeship wages, and I just thought like anything will do.
I'll take any job I can get.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like the most questions we get asked on Instagram is like, I've just been offered my first job, how do I charge, what should I be charging? And that's why it's good that you're going into depth here, because so many people, I think everyone's undercharging for like what they're doing. And like, it's got to be like, how do you break out your quotes now versus how you used to do it? Day rate, and then how do you do it now?
So I have a day rate, but then my costings are a lot more broken down as well. So I used to just put materials and not detail, because I thought, I don't want to tell them what the materials are, because I was so worried that the client would come back and say, I want to see the quote that you got for that. I was so worried. And I just thought, I want to get the job. And so I was almost hiding things from them. But if I was just upfront with them and said like, this is the costings of things, and I was putting like a 5-10% margin on things. Like I was putting that because I just wanted the work.
I know, but that won't cover. It doesn't cover anything.
No,
phone, vehicle, running around.
I was just like, that was the charity case. That's all it was. And once I started to just increase my prices and be more upfront with all of the materials that were needed. If there was anything that went over on that as well, I could be quite upfront with them and say, you'll notice in the costing that it was like this certain amount of product. This has happened, or they'll ask for a little bit more, and I can refer back into that, and it's not hiding anything. So it's just, it was just a bit different of changing from like keeping everything really simple to try and expand it out a lot more.
Show everything, How much detail do you go into now, and how do you do your like pricing?
Pricing, everything, I'm still doing everything on Excel.
Yes, same.
Some people talk about softwares and things now. I don't know, it's taken me so long to just get on top of what I'm doing now, and so I've just got my little Excel and everything. It's hard with all the pricing constantly changing, so you can't just copy and paste. You've got to constantly be checking what things are, but it's just pricing out on that, and then quantifying off the spreadsheet and working from there.
Exactly. How, like, what kind of jobs you do? Like, are most of your jobs quite the same? Like, what's your standard kind of job? Every job's different, I know.
Yeah. Same size, like same kind of scale.
Cool.
And at the moment it's a lot of, I'm using the same suppliers, materials, everything. So it's a lot of stonework. Everyone wants stone everywhere.
Do you reckon it's just a phase at the moment?
I think it's just, it's so much what you post on your social media as well. I last year did one wall with cotton rock in Dover Heights, and people are still constantly asking me about it. I'll have people where I grew up on the South Coast message me and say, do you think you could come down here for 2 weeks and do like around our pool area down here? I'm like, there's got to be someone down there that will do that for you. But it's just, that's the one thing that got a lot of traction on my social media.
Nice.
So that's what I get asked to do. I'm like, I do other things, you know. Like, but it's whatever you post, you better want to do that a lot, because if it's done well, photographed well, videoed well, onto your social media, that's what people are going to see, and that's what's going to get you more work.
Oh, it's crazy, man. I've, like I was saying before, I've learnt so much about social media. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Was that one you did, was it like a reel or just a photo post? Or I
did a couple of different things. So I did a couple of reels, I did some photo posts, and then we went back and sort of revisited the site. Maybe
before and after.
So a lot of before and after I did with it, because we did it from demo to completion, and then we went back once everything, the plans had established a little bit more, and took a few more videos for reels and everything. But I think reels were the ones that, especially the before and after, like the people really, really like them. Really short, like 10 seconds. You don't want anything going too long, or if you are going to have one that's longer, don't have that as one that's boosted, like boost a shorter one, and then that will direct them onto your profile, and then they can look at that. But
attention spans, everything I say to Brendan, I'm like, we've got to be like under 8 seconds, or like whatever message we're trying to push on a long video, we need to put you've got to have your hook at the start.
You got to, because you can just keep scrolling.
You just keep scrolling,
If it's bad lighting or anything either, it just won't grab anyone's attention. So I was lucky on that site that it was just white walls everywhere. So it was nice and bright, really well lit all the time. And it just photographed really well.
Sweet. I really want to dig a little bit more into your pricing stuff, because it's really interesting and everyone loves that stuff, but I also want to go back to the social media stuff as well, because that's a real good topic. So like with the pricing, like how do you break it out? Because we zone all our stuff out, so like P&Gs, we'll put like vehicle charges, rubbish removal, pricing time, all of that stuff, and then we'll do labour components and then materials. Is yours similar? Can we go a little bit?
So I have on the quotes and the invoices, I've got my like 3 sections.
Sweet.
So labour in there, and then if I get any staff in there with me, their costings are in there as well. Not all, I used to group it all in together.
Now you split it out. It's just
how much, like my $500 a day. And then materials, so costings in that, and then everything additional to that, so fuel and machinery, anything like that, I put in sort of into that. So it's 3 sections.
Cool.
And then work it out through there.
And you send the spreadsheet, do you just hide your margin columns, hide them up, send that with the zero quote as well? And do you put it in like a fancy PDF, or do you just flick an email, both items?
It's all converted into like a nice PDF.
Yeah, sweet. Have you got a bit of a graphic design side? Did you make that yourself?
No, I've just done so much on Canva. Like I just cruise around on that and just try and learn and watch videos, and there's so much you can learn just on YouTube on how to do things.
It's insane. Do you edit your own reels as well?
Yeah,
cool.
It's all just, you can find everything that you need to learn for anything on social media, TikTok videos, how to do something, and you can usually find answers, but you've got to go looking for them. But the business kind of side of things, like with quoting and things, it's kind of hard to find something specific to your industry. Like you'll find people on TikTok that might be, there's a guy in Western Australia that's got a cleaning business, and he breaks down costing a lot, and it makes a lot of sense to me, but I'm like, okay, but then how do I convert that into a landscaping business?
Yeah.
Like, it's different overheads, but it's just trying to find little bits of information that you can get and put it together. Yeah.
So have you ever had, since you, like when you first started, you were doing day rates, now that you show all your information, and obviously you didn't know this when you started, but have you ever had clients kick back on stuff and be like, oh no, that's too expensive?
I always have 2 quotes, because I'm always prepared for the client to say, like, you'll go on site, we'd love to get this done, we want all these plants, and you say, that's like quite expensive materials that you're asking. There is cheaper alternatives that you could use.
Nice.
No, we don't want that. We only want the expensive stuff, and you send them the quote, and it's a silence. And they're like, how'd you go with that quote? And
Told
they're like,
you so.
We're looking at the materials and things, and we probably just do it ourselves. I'm like, okay, let me just flick you through this other quote, and that's probably more of a realistic one.
Nice.
I can get it done in X amount of time for you. Otherwise, if you're happy to do it yourself, go ahead.
Ring me when you finish and it's stuffed up, and I'll come and fix it.
And then I'll be fixing that. But I don't know if it's the price range that I'm in at the moment, where it's sort of people, they look at the price and they always, and with landscaping as well, I think it's different from, like, if a sparky or a plumber sends you through a quote, you look at it and you think, I'm not going to be able to do it myself. But landscaping is just a little bit vague sometimes about what we actually do. And a lot of people, when I say I'm a landscaper, they say, oh, you must enjoy gardening. I'm like, okay, we plant, like, of a 3-month project, planting is 2 days. So it's not gardening, it's a lot of other stuff. But when you send quotes through for landscaping, a lot of people do think, like, I could probably just do it myself. So, but you do, like, will you do, like, retaining walls, decks, stairs, planting, pavers, the whole shebang? And anything that is a little bit out of my scope, I usually just get subbies in, or if it's something that I need to get done quickly and I want it done really well, like I've got a good render and everything, they'll come in and do like half a day, and it saves the client a bit of money as well at the end of the day, because I'm not struggling for 2 days in what they can do in half a day.
Yeah, for sure. Have you got, is it just you doing your work at the moment? Do you have someone full-time, or do you have a couple of part-timers?
I've got part-timers.
Sweet.
Yeah, so guys that just pop in on the weekends.
Nice. Easiest model to run, like one-man business model, like female business model. But it's super, like, is everyone just working on a contract basis? Super risk-free,
it's just so much easier.
And do you obviously pay, do you put them on a day rate too, and then you just charge still your normal 500 day rate? Or is it bigger? Is it bigger now? I hope.
Well, for those guys, I pay them what I used to think was amazing for a day, and they're happy with that. They think it's amazing, like I used to. But then I usually put a margin on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's got to be time and organising and sorting out bullshit.
It's business, not charity. At the end of the day.
That's a good one. I like that one. Where do you find most of these other guys helping you, like contractors doing work?
Contractors are just people that I work with. So I work with Harrison's Landscaping for most of the week, and it's guys that they use as well. So it's people I've worked with before. So I trust them to do the work and to turn up and not just bail on me.
Oh, that's horrible, eh?
And it's a pretty small community of people that are trusted in your little circle, and they will refer on other people. If they can't do something, they'll say, oh, I know this other guy. And if they're referring someone, I trust them as well. Because, you don't want to just be calling someone up from High Pages and just hoping for the best. Yeah,
that's horrible, man. One thing I want to touch on are 2 items. Would you say you're working in like a niche area at the moment? And with that question, do you find like your quote success rate is higher because you're a little bit more niche in a certain area?
I think it depends what I'm quoting for, and the time frame. So I can get a lot of quotes through because it's quite hard to get landscaping jobs done quickly at the moment. There's just a really low supply, high demand. So I can usually get quotes across the line because I can get them done quite quickly. I'll burn myself out a little bit doing it, but I'll get the job done. And then I think where I lose quotes is where sometimes I try and be like a little bit more ambitious, and I'll throw something in there that I'm like, oh, I really want to sell like a nice big feature tree, and I've lost 2 quotes on feature trees.
Feature trees.
No
more feature trees.
yeah. I'm desperate to just sell one because it's such a big profit margin on plants as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking profit margin on plants roughly?
It's like 90. Yeah,
that's good.
It's a big. That's where landscapers are making all their money on their plants. But yeah, it's a risk. But I just every now and then I just think, I'll just try it.
You got to live life a little.
Yeah. But it's usually those clients. They'll knock back the quote, but then they'll come back again and say, oh, we still can't find anyone to do the work.
Yeah.
Can you do it in segments? So then I can break it up and say, look, I'll do like it in 2 stages or 3, and then the payments won't be so
massive
for you. Yeah.
How do you deal with obviously inquiries coming in? What's your process? This is another question we get asked heaps. Quoting for free. What do you do about that? What's your business process?
Because I mean, you want to get the work and you want to seem like accessible, and there's a lot of people that don't understand what they want or what they need. So you do need to go out to sites and visit and have a talk with them.
You do have to do some consulting, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's one of those things that I used to go without speaking to the client previously. I'd just turn up and say, look, I'll meet you on site tomorrow, or on the weekend I'll come out. I'll spend my Saturday morning driving all around Sydney and talking to people that when you get there you realise you guys aren't even like you haven't built the house, or like you're in the middle of construction, or you have like really ideas that aren't going to work with what I want. So I can't do the work for you. You're going to have to get someone else in here. Yeah. But by then you've driven there, you've used fuel, everything to get there, and it's just a bit of a waste. So I think for me now, what I've found has worked really well is just having a good chat with the clients before I even turn up on site. Like, what are you actually, what are you looking for? Are you looking to do maybe a little bit more on top of that eventually? Is there like a front and a backyard, and just trying to get a bit more detail from them, like the scale. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a really small area. Sometimes it's when you listen to them, they say, oh, but we have got this whole area here. And I say, like, is it in the budget to do that? And I'm much more upfront with them about money now. I ask them early on, like, have you got a budget for this? Because I used to think, oh no, they don't want to talk about money. You know, it's one of those things that don't talk about money. All comes down to money, yeah. But they're paying you, and if they can't pay you, then you're wasting each other's time. Yeah. Like they probably could do it themselves. Yeah. And I have been honest with clients as well before. If it's something that I think they can do, or like a handyman could do for them, I'll just say to them, look, this is a really quite simple project. We can do it for you at a really low cost, because I think there's a lot of people that are careful about what they're spending now as well, especially in that price range that's sort of like under 30,000. They're yes or no, whether they're like, landscaping's a luxury for them, really.
And I've always found it's at the end of the project.
Yeah, when they've run out of money from everyone else.
All their money, landscapers and painters are usually last. So it's like, it can be really tough. We've done jobs before where at the end of the job, like down the side of the driveway was meant to be all plants, and then it's just turf. Yeah. Can we just turf that? Like when we're doing the final like run through of, okay, so plants down here, are you happy with? Oh, actually, we were thinking turf. We're going to trim back on everything except the turf. Do you get is the most of your work through Instagram now? Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, it is. Free platform, free promotion. Make some reels. Away you go. And it's just, you just sit back and it comes to you. Like, it just feels bizarre, really. It's like we were saying before, I'm a small, simple person from a farming background, and it's crazy to think that like, you can... people used to put an ad in the back of the newspaper or something for their trade business, and that was like what you did. Like, you advertised, you put out flyers, you did like letterbox drops and things, but
now I think I get so much in my letterbox that I just chuck it all in the bin straight away. I don't know who's still paying money for like those fridge magnets and stuff, because they're just getting chucked in the bin.
Yeah, no one, I mean, most people still open the fridge, but man, where attention goes, money flows. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and everyone's on their phone so much more now anyway.
Absolutely.
They're not like wanting to read a flyer or something that's like a physical thing.
Yeah.
They're much more, they want pictures, they want images, they want something that like ignites their imagination about what they could possibly have of their own.
Absolutely.
And if you put that in front of them in a nice way, then you're more likely to grab their attention and get their business.
Absolutely. Yeah. How many inquiries a month do you reckon you get off your Instagram? Are you on TikTok as well, or just IG?
TikTok's a weird dark tunnel, that one. Yeah, I don't.
You can see yourself scrolling for hours.
I don't know. No, I just don't know what their algorithm is, because Instagram, you generate a lot of leads from that. Like I would get probably like 3 or 4 a month just from that. And then I also get a lot of leads from previous clients referring me on to their family, their friends. Nice. So it's probably 50-50 with both of them. TikTok, I haven't seen anyone that's managed to generate leads from TikTok for their work. Like Instagram, Reels, everything, because the algorithm seems to generate you to people that are interested in that. Yeah. TikTok will generate you to someone, it usually goes overseas, like it doesn't usually come into like your local area, and it will just be someone with an opinion. Yeah. And you get the most bizarre comments on there. So I just thought, I tried a few different things, and it just seemed like nothing was going to work. Yeah, fair. Yeah, and as a female tradie on TikTok, it's all the things that I thought when I first set up like a Instagram account. I thought, there's going to be like the weird trolls under the bridge that'll keep popping up every time you post something. Never had it on Instagram, like never been harassed, never had anyone say anything obnoxious. Yeah. TikTok, the first post, boom. They disappear. Comments. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, we had a chat with is it Maddie, the Sydney chippy chick, the other day. It was really interesting getting her insights on that. She had a real, similar to the story you were saying, she had a really interesting upbringing when she was doing her cabinetry stuff, but like harassment and stuff. And I was like, man, but kudos to, I think females in the trade, there's such it's such a niche market. And I feel like your inquiries that you get, do you feel like it's already pre-sold? Like they've seen you on Instagram, they want you for you, they know who you are?
Yeah. In a way, it's actually like, I feel like it's easier to get work as a female tradie once you're going. Yeah. If you can get through those kind of first bumpy hurdles, then I think people seem to have a little bit more like trust and confidence in a female to do the work for them. Yeah. I think because there's that stereotype of like the shifty, like
slick
tradie,
car salesman tradie. Yeah, I feel like every other week I get hit with a TikTok algorithm, believe it or not, of like a sifty tradie in Aussie running in an illegal business, taking like 10 deposits of $15,000, never to be seen again.
Yeah, then, except on a current affair where they find
current affairs. They get them
in their face. But you never see that as a female tradie doing that. So I think people see that because it's on in the media, and so when they see a female tradie, it's like almost this
sense of relief,
sense of trust that they just think, oh, well, that'll be okay. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll try. I'll try my best. But it's. I feel like they have a little bit more confidence in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Apart from your rocky start from undercharging for probably too long, would you say what have been some other like challenges that you've faced in business, or how you've overcome stuff? If you've had any big losses, like money-wise, job-wise, people love hearing about problems.
Is like imposter syndrome. I'm constantly like, I'll go and quote a job and I'll leave and like pull over somewhere and just think like, I can't do that. Like I'm just not capable of it. Like I always think that there's someone else that's going to do it better than me, so they'd be better off getting someone else. Every single time for any job, I always just think, oh no, like I undersell myself all the time.
Where do you think that stems from? Do you just think that's a confidence thing?
I just feel like it's, the more work I do, I feel like I should be getting more confident and feeling like I can do it. But as soon as I just I feel like every time I just have this like little voice in my head that says like, oh, what are you doing? Like that's you, because you'll have a few people every now and then that sort of doubt what you're doing.
Clients or just like friends or?
A bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it just stays, it doesn't go away. So it's just, for me, it's like a battle getting past that. And usually once I speak with clients, like they have a lot more confidence in me than I do. And I just feel like a little bit awkward with it sometimes because I think like, oh, can I do that? Like it's work that I'm doing all the time, so I should be fine. But I do get massive imposter syndrome all the time.
That's strange because you would see a finished product, client's happy, they've paid their last bill, and they said thank you so much, and then you get a referral.
Yeah.
That's the dream result for anyone.
And I'm surprised
Any
at the
trade
referral
person.
as well. When I get a referral, I'm like, oh, really?
Is this another scammer?
Yeah.
Or is this someone like trying to stitch me up here?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Crazy.
Like it's almost like when I have any gratitude for the work I've done, I don't take it on enough.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I need to somehow figure out how to like soak it in a little bit more and say, okay,
that was good.
This has worked out well, the clients are happy, and actually like really tell myself that because I'll go into the next job forgetting the success of the last one and just start it. I feel like I'm starting at zero every time.
Do you get like positive email reviews off people?
That's
feedback,
Yeah, so I'll have people that write me nice emails after I finish the job and they send me pictures, and I have a lot of clients that still send me pictures of, look, like this is our entertainment area, that's our daughter's engagement party. We would have never been able to have it at our house, but now we can because you've done the landscaping here.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but I need to start putting that, I think, more into like Google reviews.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of companies, like when I go to the hairdressers now, they'll text me straight after, thanks for coming, leave us a Google review. I'm like, didn't I leave that last time for you? How many times am I doing this?
I want to show you something. You should do this. I haven't scanned your Instagram in detail, but you should do this here. Make a review post. So do that as a highlight, and every time you get one, highlight it, put it on your stories.
Yeah.
You should do that. But that could be like a journal for you every morning to read it. And I am the shit.
It's like
I am the best.
Yeah, a positive affirmation for me to just read through.
Yeah, not saying you have any trouble winning work, but that could be something like good for you to read as well. And be like, I am good at what I do.
Or just before I turn up to do a quote or something, I'll just read through that so that it puts me into like a little bit of a different energy. Because sometimes I walk on site and I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? I always think like, I don't know why they've called me here. Like,
a question off the back of that statement. Have you ever had a job go wrong or a client say a bad thing about you, or never been not paid?
I've never been not paid or the job go wrong, but when I misquote things, or if I'm off with like materials or something, it's those little errors that I just think, oh, that's such a failure. Like the clients are usually, because they're already getting at a better price than what they'd been quoted previously. They're always happy with it, but the little mistakes, like I'm so hard on myself with little mistakes.
Are you like a perfectionist?
Yeah.
So like, are you like OCD, like cleaning, cooking?
Yeah, everything.
That's probably why.
Yeah, so it's just the tiny little mistake, and that will just be like, that'll bug me for weeks. Yeah,
I feel like you shouldn't let that affect you, eh? We've always tried to have a bit of a theory with our building business back home and employees and contractors, everything. I'm like, if we can get, same with estimating, if we can do like 75, 85%, we're doing so well. And like, we'll look at an employee and we're like, cool, they can turn up on time, they've got a good attitude, they work really well, they're a little bit slow, but they've been here for 2 years, boom, 80%, you know? Same with our estimating, 100K job, we might come in at like, 90 or 110, boom, 80%, like happy. I don't know, I feel like human error is a thing, and it does happen, like you can't be perfect.
I feel like it's something that I really need to work on a lot this year. It's just like being a little bit softer on myself and allowing for mistakes, because it doesn't affect anyone as much as it seems to affect me. Like no one else seems bothered by it, but just the little mistakes, I need to just let go a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, did you ever picture yourself getting into landscaping when you were at school? Like, is it?
No. My brother actually started, his first apprenticeship was in landscaping. And I didn't understand what he was doing. I was like, what do? You stonework? Like, are you a bricklayer? And he's like, no, it's landscaping, you do everything. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Right. I just didn't pay attention to it. And then he switched to bricklaying anyway.
Yeah.
And it was only, it's funny because when I was working for InvoCare and we were doing landscaping, like the stonemasonry and everything there, I still didn't think it was landscaping. Like it never, because that wasn't the qualification that we did at the time, I still didn't think I was doing landscaping. It's only once I started as a mature age apprenticeship and I was on site and I was like, oh yeah, I've done that before. And I go to TAFE and I'm like, oh, I've done this before. Like I'd just already done all the stuff and I just didn't even realise that that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
All I wanted to be when I was in school was just a show jumping rider. Done it. Like tick that box, but then move on afterwards because it's like a childhood thing, and then you grow up and you realise you need a real job.
Nice. Yeah. Do you think, like, what's your plan with the landscaping stuff for the next? Do you have any bigger goals with it, or are you?
Well,
and not saying what you're doing now, like, it's amazing. Being self-employed is the dream, I reckon.
Yeah.
Pick your hours, do what you want to do.
Yeah. I think probably looking to keep going with the business, and then there's so much other things in trade as well. I was speaking to Felicity, who you've had on before.
Yeah, she was good.
Down at the Empowering Women in Trade Awards.
I saw that,
Yeah, and we were talking about like how now there's so many different avenues within trade, so you can have your own brand on the side, you can have a business, and then you can do all separate work in and around all of those things. So there's so many like opportunities that keep coming up with work in social media and things like that as well. So it's trying to sort of figure out how to keep all of the plates spinning and moving forward with it all, but not overwhelm myself with like a whole lot of work that I can't complete.
Yeah. Are you getting many collab deal offers at the moment? Like,
yeah, it's usually like a couple a month.
Cool.
That I'll do.
Paid deals?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, eh?
Yeah, so that's like easy to generate that content because it's pretty natural.
Yeah.
Like it's just usually on site or something like that, so it's easy. But yeah, it's trying to work out like the balance between it all. Like I don't want to just let one thing slip while I'm doing something else. So trying to keep them all moving. And then it's hard with business as well. Like I've spoken with one of the excavator guys that I use, and I said to him, I was like, I don't know, like I keep thinking, do I keep getting the business bigger? Do I bring on more staff? Do I grow it? Or do I just keep it the way I am now and try and get more confidence with that, enjoy the work as much as I can? Because I worry about like scaling bigger and then not having the right systems in place to make it like easy. It's never easy with business, I get it, but just putting myself in a situation where I'm not drowning in all of the commitments everywhere. Yeah,
it's a hard one to manage, and like you said, there's so many avenues everywhere, and I mean, if you're getting paid collab deals, that's pretty cool. I think that's awesome. Would you look at like hiring, like, or getting to the point where maybe you just have one person as a foreman on site? Do you spend more time quoting
It'd be
reels?
so much, it'd be so much better to do something like that eventually, because there's so much more money that can be generated if you're doing good quality quotes, and even like the design side of things. You can bring in a designer, which is quite expensive, or you can learn CAD and do it all yourself.
Would you do that yourself?
Cool. Well, at the moment I'm just using like the most basic things, but
Sketch 3D or something.
and just seeing what happens with it. But I think being able to do something that's a little bit more, looks more professional, will get you those better quotes as well.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
So would you say that's a lacking side of the business at the moment, like the presentation and maybe more of the business side of the business?
I think what's lacking in the business at the moment is like time management of it all, because it's trying to be all those things at once, like trying to be the person in the office, be the person on site, be the person meeting clients, and it's hard to sort of balance it all, but then trying to pick the moment to transition into something like a little bit bigger is very like nerve-wracking about when is it right to do that.
Anything you want to say to young females or males getting into the trades? Any advice or one piece?
I think for young people it's just just give it a go.
Yeah.
Like it depends on the trade you're doing as well. There's so many opportunities you can do with work experience, and try it out first. Like get on site. Some people start their apprenticeship straight away and they realise once they're signed up to it, they don't like it. Like there's so many people that drop out the first year of TAFE because it's not the trade they should be in. A lot of them switch to another trade.
Yeah.
So try and get a work experience in... I won't say work experience because it shouldn't be free. You should be paid for the work you do.
Yeah, it's not slave labour.
Yeah, so speak with, if you want to take up plumbing or landscaping or any of the trades, try and find a company that's willing to take you on for a week or two and to say, look, I'm looking to take on an apprenticeship. Just want to see if this is for me. Would you have me as a labourer on site for a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And while you're on site, speak with everyone. Like if there's subbies that come on site, speak with them. They might be doing something that you want to do.
Yeah,
and sort of try and gauge where you want to be. Don't jump straight into an apprenticeship, sign up, start going to TAFE and realise after the first term, like, I don't even like this trade. Why have I spent this time studying it?
Yeah.
Spend a month before you have to start TAFE, trialling a few different things and figure out what, because you want to be happy with the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I mean, are apprenticeships all paid for here? Is there any upfront investment from
No, so usually your employer pays.
Yeah.
So the apprenticeship wages are quite a bit lower than if you were just labouring because it's factored in that you'll be at TAFE 1 day a week, so off-site. And then they're paying for your TAFE course as well, which is not too much money to pay for. But so that's why the wages are a little bit lower for apprentices. Plus, when you're on site, you're an apprentice, so you're not able to do all the work that someone that's qualified is.
Do you know what the training wage is now for apprentices? Man, it must be like, what's the minimum wage in Australia? I think it's like 22 in NZ, 22.40 or something. I reckon it might be. But I
know, like, apprentices straight out of school, it's pretty low. Like, I think maybe
it's not over 20, is it? Is it under 20?
I think it's.
I need to look it up.
Maybe, yeah. I feel like there was guys when I was doing TAFE that said they were on. It was under $400 a week.
Here we go. Adult apprentice, first 6 months, 57,000 a year. That's about 800, 900 bucks after tax, probably. Yeah, 57,000. That's pretty high. $29 an hour. You can see why everyone comes from New Zealand to Australia.
Yeah.
No, that was good. Hey, thank you so much for that. What's your podcast that people can go and listen to?
So my podcast is Tradie Lady Talk.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how many episodes have you had?
I think I did so many in the lead up to the awards night because I really wanted to interview a lot of the girls that were nominated for that.
Cool.
So I've just called it season 2 for that is. But I think we've got about like 10 or 12 episodes now up there.
Yeah. Plan for it this year? How many do you want to have?
Well,
because I'm going to review it in 12 months.
Okay.
I'm holding you to it.
Well, so the first year I said I'm going to do weekly episodes and it's going to be great, but I found it very difficult, like scheduling my schedule and everyone else's schedule. And a week turned into a month, and I was like, I'll just do the monthly.
Yeah.
I think I would like to do the monthly now. I think that's a fair thing to say, and just try and get an episode out once a month.
Nice.
And to interview lots of different women in trade doing lots of different things, not just women that are on the tools, but like a lot of the people that I interviewed in the lead up to the awards, some of them are working in apprenticeships, setting up pathways for that, doing keynote speaking, and
that's cool,
lots of different areas of trade now. So that, because I find that super interesting that there's so many different avenues of trade. Because I used to think it was just you have your business, you're on the tools, or you're working for someone, and that's trade, that's it. But
there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much.
I'll refer you to Jo. We had a chat with her a couple of days ago. She's an architect based on the North Shore. She's in her 50s. She's amazing. Yeah. She is so cool. But anyway, I could ramble on for hours. Thank you so much for coming. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.